This is a nice study. Okay. So if you're talking about the drawing that I just did this night over here, um, playing around with the values is very, very important. Okay, so let's see how we can improve your drawing, right? So this is Gakko's real talk. Okay. So there are a couple of things you can do to make this interesting, right? Lighting, shadow, story, and framing. Those things can make for a really good art. So when I look at this piece, the main subject is this guy, right? This knight. So what I usually would like to do is create an interesting lighting. So you could actually, let's use a pencil brush for this. You can carve out lighting like on his leg right here. Like he is underneath the tree and the tree canopy is giving him shadow but revealing his light. So we can actually use that knowledge using the idea that there is a tree, a shadow that the tree canopy is casting, and using that to our advantage. Remember, as much as possible, if things are in shadow, you gotta make it sure that it's in shadow. Don't leave things like this, right? So if things are in shadow, put them in shadow. Don't shy away from them. Like imagine seeing a real person, right? Like imagine a person in your mind's eye. How do they look like in your mind's eye? Does it have flecks of white scattered around and stuff? Or are they mostly in shadow? You see, you gotta make the person looking at your art understand what they're looking at. You need to spoon feed it to them. If you're a master of something, right? You don't actually need to do a lot of things because you can guide the person's eye and they can understand it themselves. So, here's the thing, right? One of the best ways to frame this is to really go hard on the sketches, right? I'm just assuming that these plants right here are also underneath the tree, so they're going to be heavily in shadow. Give it interesting shapes and remove shapes that do not add to anything. Less is more, I feel like. So don't hesitate to add some darks in there. This is fun. And if you want to add some details, like the ones that, like how we talked about, is just add some lines to convey plant life. So, like that. Because plants have very different values. And this is a technique that I love using because it's very easy to do and it's very, very fun to do. It adds a variety of plant life. Like if you want to add some grass, just add some brush strokes, delete some values, and just add it in. But you gotta need to not be shy on the values, all right? So again, take into account where the light source is. Like for example, there is some heavy light near the leg area. So we gotta make sure that whenever a person looks at your sketch, it can understand what it's looking at. So maybe the legs here are emitting light too because it is armor, so it's shiny. And maybe it's casting light on the armor as well. You know what I mean? Casting some light. It might be also casting some light underneath the face as well. So yeah, I would suggest do not be shy when it comes to adding darks to your drawings. Shadows are your friends. It makes the drawing very, very interesting, and it makes it have an extra level of oomph to it. You know what I mean? So again, also, the face is the first thing the person will look at when on the drawing. So make sure that the face looks very interesting. Okay. Now, if you really want to take this to the next level, you can add some faint trees in the background. Fainter brushstrokes convey perspective. It just gives it that extra sense of dimensionality to the drawing. Look at that. Nice strokes. Whatever it is. Just make sure that it's lighter than the foreground. It frames the drawing much better and makes it that much more cooler. You know what I mean? Just have fun with it. Just have fun. There you go. So these changes can actually improve your overall drawing. Take into account the light source, the framing, the values, all those things. So this is your world. Exactly. You make it believable. You got to make sure that when a person looks at your drawing, they want to step in there. And that's the most challenging bit. But the more you draw, the more you can understand it. Gakko, your drawing is really great. It has the potential to become something great. So before, notice how the lines are scattered. There's no sense of value. Well, there is a sense of value, but you need to take care of it. Be careful not to overpower the drawing. Putting the values in the proper place will make it more discernible, and and makes it more interesting. You know what I mean? Before, after. Before, after. I hope that helps.